anyway, I'm going to be talking about some serious stuff. Alright, anyway, so I made a post on Facebook last week and it got like a lot of attention and like a lot of feedback, and it was just about how I was in a emotionally abusive relationship. And when I posted that, a lot of stuff that I got was like questions like, why didn't you just leave if all of that was going on? Why'd you stay? Like, something made you stay. You could have left. You should have known then. You feel me? And a lot of it was like mostly positive though. And a lot of women said they could relate. And a lot of women asked me how I got out of that situation and what made me notice that it was emotionally abusive and so on and so forth. Well, to start, that was just one of my like 3 relationships that I was in, like 3 serious relationships that I was in that was emotionally abusive. There were like 2 more. And I ended up in relationships like that because I didn't like love myself, I guess. I didn't love myself. I didn't love Darylyn. I didn't think Darylyn was enough. I was always searching for someone outside of myself to make me better instead of searching for things that I love and I like or things that will make me better as a person on my own, you know? So it brought me to the question, like, what about me? So like over the last year or so, I've been pretty single. I've gone on dates, so on and so forth. But I haven't really shared myself with anyone like I have in the past because a lot has changed. I've had a lot of time to spend with myself in the last year. I've had a lot of time to spend with myself in the last year or so, and I've had a lot of time to learn about myself and a lot of time to stop blaming other people for the way that things have gone in the past, and a lot of time to appreciate things about myself that I truly love. I had gotten to a point in my life where I would be blaming everyone else for all the things that had happened to me and why things had gone wrong, and I was just so hurt and so sad all the time. I was so lonely. I would cry every day. It was like I had hit a depression. But then it hit me, like, why am I walking around moping and sad because other people didn't love me the way that I was supposed to be loved, and so on and so forth. And when I thought about all of that, I learned that the reason that people hadn't loved me the way that I deserved to be loved in the past is because I didn't love myself. If I had loved myself enough to walk away from those people the moment that they showed signs of negativity or negative energy or gave me any bad vibes, I would have left immediately, you feel me? But back then, I felt like I needed someone else outside of myself to make me happy. Or I needed someone else who loved me just as much as I loved myself at the time to make me feel good. So even if the love wasn't always positive and it wasn't always happy-go-lucky and it wasn't always hugs and kisses, I was like, well, they love me no matter what, so it's cool. Like, I can handle all the stuff that we go through because this is what love is supposed to be like. Love is supposed to be like this. Like, in love, you have to go through things. Like, it can't be perfect. But in reality, you don't have to go through any emotionally abusive, borderline physically abusive situations to know that someone loves you. You have to love you first. No one else on the planet is going to love you more than you. Like, so if you're at home and you're waiting on so-and-so to make you happy, or if so-and-so doesn't do something today, you're going to be mad all day, then you should probably reevaluate the way that you are loving yourself, because there is no love outside of yourself that is greater than the love you will give yourself unless you believe in a higher power. You feel me? And a lot of us do. But, yeah, beyond that, there's no love outside of yourself that can be more love than you have for yourself. And so I ended up on this path of like self-destruction just because I was dating these men who meant no good for me, or who weren't even there for me. They were telling me they loved me, but they were using me for for like a house or a place to stay. Like, I had an ex, like I talked about on Facebook. That's the ex I talk about on Facebook. We were together for 2.5 years, and he punched holes in my walls, stabbed a hole through my door. In the end, now that we're broken up, he's like stolen money from me, like since we broken up. And we haven't talked in like probably like 3 times over the last 2 years, but he still was able to still hurt me in ways because I had given so much of myself to him over that time. And everyone was like, why didn't you just leave? Like, you could have left. But it's like, I literally used to let him convince me that that's what love was, because I didn't love myself enough to know that that's not what love was. And coming from a home with a single mom, mostly, I didn't really know how a man was supposed to love me. You get what I'm saying? Like, I have a dad. I have 2 dads. But it's different when you don't grow up with someone in the home to show you how it's supposed to be done. Someone who's always there. So I grew up, I guess I just grew up different from people, you know. Anyway, I was in this relationship with this guy for 2.5 years. And so much stuff happened. Like, you would have thought I would have been walked away. Like, he didn't pay bills. He moved in with me after 3 months. And I didn't even take that as a warning sign. I was like, oh my gosh, like, he really loves me. But in hindsight, I realized that the whole time it was a ploy for him to use me. Because he told me at 3 months that he loved me for the first time. We were dating for 3 months when he told me he loved me for the first time. 3. About 2 weeks or so later, he ended up moving in with me. And, you know, I was just okay with that. Like, I was like, you know, he loves me, cares about me, like, whatever. Prior to that, he had helped me with, like, a bill or two, like a small bill, like a cable bill or something. So I was like, you know, he'll be able to come through for bills and stuff. He could be an extra helping hand. He can pick up where I lack. You feel me? And, like, I was so excited about that. I was like, yes, this is going to be so perfect. This relationship is everything that I've been needing, coming from an unhealthy relationship prior, like, to that, like, where the man just wasn't, like, attentive to me and I was always chasing him. I was like, yo, this is just what I need. A man who always wants to be around me. Like, this is going to be so amazing. But it turned out to be completely opposite of that. You get what I'm saying? Like, a few months into the relationship, I realized that he wasn't going to be paying any bills. I realized that he was in a position where he needed help. We hadn't even been dating long enough for me to even feel like I owed it to him to help him. But somehow I had allowed him to convince me that, you know, this is it, like, this is going to be great and everything. But that was because I didn't love myself. I didn't love myself enough to be like, yo, Darylyn, hold on, is not that in love with you to be around here not helping out with nothing. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not that much love in the world. Like, love don't pay the bills. So I was like, you know, whatever, it's cool. We've been dating a few months. I'll help him out. I'll hold him down. That's what girlfriends are supposed to do. Like, we love each other. It doesn't matter how long we've been together, you know? And so I was telling myself that every day. And the relationship, it started to get, like, way worse. Like I said, he would punch holes in my walls. One day, like, we got into an argument. He literally stabbed a hole through my door with, like, a Swiss Army knife that I had. It literally just used to get super hectic. And every time it would get hectic, I would be like, you know what, like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm going to leave. Like, I don't need this. Like, you're not even contributing anything to my health or happiness for me to even be in this relationship putting up all this. But then he would come back and he would be like, you know, like, I don't know how I'm going to live without you. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm so sorry. I have anger issues. It's just, like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be alive. Like, I don't, like, you would have came home to me dead. And, like, I just be like, oh my gosh, like, you know what? You're right. We need each other. We do love each other. We love each other so much. But it wasn't love. You get what I'm saying? It was just all fake. And he knew that he could manipulate me like that. He knew that he could manipulate me like that because I loved him. And I didn't love myself enough to walk away. And he knew that. So no matter what he would do to me, or no matter what he would say, no matter how he would treat me, I will always forgive him as soon as he told me something nice. Because I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's a fairy tale. He's right. He would be like, we're not going to get nowhere in life if we don't go through nothing. Like, I would be like, you know, like, you should work. He'd be like, I just went through a depression. Like, how you want me to work now? And I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, I'm being so inconsiderate. Instead of considering my feelings and how the things that he was doing negatively were affecting me, I used to be like, oh, whatever. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. He said it's supposed to be like this. This is what it's supposed to be. But it wasn't until I came on this journey of self-love and self-worth that I realized that all of that stuff was really unhealthy. Like, you don't have to be in any unhealthy situations, or you don't have to be that unhappy to get to love. You don't have to fight. You don't have to have a hole punch through your wall. You don't have to have a knife stabbed through your door or anything in order to realize that that's not love. You can just realize as soon at like the first time something happens, like, oh, this isn't for me. You get what I'm saying? You don't have to continuously give people chances to hurt you over and over again, because that's not love. If someone is not capable of loving you right how they should at that current time, then they should not make themselves available to love you. They should be able to love themselves enough and you enough to be like, you know, I'm not even gonna like have you around me. Like, you don't deserve this, and let you walk away. They shouldn't entertain you as a friend. They shouldn't entertain you as a lover. But you won't realize those things until you love yourself. Like, yeah. So, what about me? What about me? What about me? That's what I had to start asking myself. So if you're in a relationship or you're dealing with someone right now who is putting you through things and you think it's love and you think that's how love is supposed to be, and it's not necessarily the healthiest environment, then you should probably reevaluate that. I'm not saying relationships won't go through arguments and relationships won't have small disagreements. Things will happen in relationships that you will have to work through. But certain things should not happen. Every time you argue with someone, they shouldn't tell you that, oh, you're the reason that we're having this fight. You can't always be the reason that there is a fight. So you have to be around people who hold accountability for their own actions and not just yours, who take accountability, who take responsibility for their actions and not just yours, and so on and so forth, instead of always looking to other people for love. You gotta look to yourself for love. Yeah. Later.